Alright, gotta make this sort of quick. We got a half an hour. So, you only have a half an hour. It's kind of funny, right? Maybe I'll put it on YouTube just this one time. And I'll just request, look, I've made a ton of response videos to this guy. This is the first time he's responded to anything I've said. So I don't know if that's his procedure, but I mean, it would, once in a while you go to the website, there's videos have your name in them, and maybe once in a while you could, respond. But if these are going to be the level of your responses, then it probably isn't worth it anyway. Yeah, this is really kind of 3 minutes. It's just not, this isn't going to really cover it. I had a lot of questions. I did ask a follow-up to the question you posted, and that didn't get responded to. So I posted it 10 minutes after you posted your query, your request for questions, and so I mean, it's a little disappointing that you couldn't have dealt with the second half of the question, and you did post an hour after I posted this. Billions have gotten over sustainable population breeding. That would be in quotes, it should have been probably. Why have they got it wrong? So billions of people right now, 6 out of the 7 billion, don't breed enough to sustain human existence. So the vast majority of people don't breed at a level sufficient to maintain human existence. They've gotten over the need to breed in a substantial way. Seems to me like behavior worth supporting and emulating. Why am I wrong to think so? So he didn't deal with that question. Yeah, supporting and emulating. That's what this is about. So let's understand. This guy's making videos trashing David Benatar, trashing anti-natalists, and the whole smear. Okay, attempting to smear them all with some sort of notion of an inappropriate depression, like depression drove them to it, rather than the other way around. That life drove them to depression, and through that experience they gained some appreciation for the dangers of life. So he's tried to disengage them from their rightful integrity, their rightful respect, and instead trivialize them as just some sort of mental patients. So again, I can do the same thing here. Might doesn't make right. Majority numbers don't make right. We can just all call you deluded balloon chasing retards, and we'll just leave the rhetoric at that. So you're a balloon chasing retard, we're depressive psychotics. Fine. Way to stimulate a productive conversation. So that's directed at you to be serious and do in the morning. You've defended this rhetoric, you've defended this approach. What do you think is the appropriate response to that kind of accusation? Except, well, fuck you. Here's a bucket of it back in your face, asshole. You're such hypocrites. All of you. Disgusting hypocrites.
I've been asked a question by Inmendum.
Yeah, offhand question. I made a 60-minute video, okay? So, yeah. Go watch that video and then tell me that this is a response to it. I really don't think it is, but whatever. I can't, one sentence doesn't do it. I don't do a 60-minute video and be able to reduce it to one sentence. Yeah, that's not really practical.
The need to have children is just another notion in the head. Why wouldn't it be perfectly efficient to just let that potentially destructive desire go?
Right, now his argument is that you can get out of massive horrid depression through just a little bit of a thought experiment with yourself. Just recognize that all these functions in your brain are just things your brain is imposing on you, and you can just relieve yourself of these necessities of attachment and worry and concern and fear. All of these things are just garbage in your head, and so you can extract all these negative things that are blighting you, and yet he doesn't see any need to extract any of the addictions, any of the attachments that impose suffering on somebody else. Get rid of all the ones that impose suffering on yourself, that make you depressed, but don't get rid of any of the selfish ones that impose suffering on somebody else. Yeah, that's called duplicity. That's called bullshit. That's called, you're just escaping. You didn't answer the question. The question's pretty straightforward. What's the distinction between these things? If you can mentally control one, why can't you mentally control the other? If an idea can change one, why can't an idea change the other? You say Buddha changed you. You say the idea of recognizing all this emotional crap is just baggage changed who you are. So an idea, information, a meme changed who you were. Okay, so there was no more determinism in the sense that you weren't determined in the sense that it came from inside of you. It came from you receiving information that changed your life. Well, the same argument can be made. Benatar simply explained to people they don't need to be caught up in this mechanism of reproducing merely because everybody else is doing it. No, they can think about it for a little bit. They can ponder the questions about exactly, do they want responsibility and want to be accountable for the suffering and the pain and the death that will inevitably take place, that your child will inevitably have to endure in a future that doesn't look very bright.
A perfectly reasonable question, it would seem, but I don't really know if there's any particular answer for that question. First of all, it assumes that people do the things that they do for logical, rational reasons.
Well, you're saying they aren't depressed for rational, logical reasons. Well, I would argue that they're not attached to these cultural conventions for any rational, logical reasons either. And I would argue that the people who are more rational and logical, by statistical fact, have fewer children. So it seems that the thing that people are rationally and logically attached to are very different once they gain something called knowledge and understanding and education. It'll be argued by most people that education has the biggest factor on birth rates around the world. That'll be argued by most sociologists. Okay, and my facts, unlike your facts, are actually accurate. Okay, so $10,000, anybody can prove that statement wrong. Okay, the vast majority of sociologists will tell you that education is fundamental to birth rates.
Why do people collect stamps? I don't know if anyone actually collects stamps anymore, but...
Oh, I still have a stamp collection. Yeah, that's right, but yeah, no, I don't add to it.
Why do people go sit on a Ferris wheel? Why do people go to work every morning? Why do people sit in front of a computer?
Okay, so get this. He's just going through all this nonsense. You do understand why you do things, right? You understand that you work because you need the money so you can pay the bills. You do some things for your self-esteem. You do other things to impress chicks. I don't see any problem whatsoever dissecting every single thing I do almost. Every single thing I do, every mannerism I have almost, I can blueprint it back to somebody in my life. I have some of my father's mannerisms. I have some of my mother's mannerisms. I can see them in myself when I watch these videos. So, yeah, it's not that complicated to figure out. It's not that hard to figure out.
Why do we do anything? What's our motivation for anything? What's your motivation for anything? Anything at all?
Well, like I said, every single thing I do, I can give you some abstract definition of it. I can at least dissect it in some sort of abstract way. Okay, I can say, well, this is probably how the chain of events. And on some things, I can give you direct. I can talk about exact circumstances that changed who I was and made me what I am, and made me behave the way I do, and made me have the programming that brought thoughts to my head that said, this is my principle. I live for these principles. I will try to conduct myself consistent with these principles. I can give you explanations. I can dissect it. I can explain it. No problem.
What's your motivation? Why? I think that fundamentally that's an unanswerable question. I don't think that anybody...
I think fundamentally that's a huge, gigantic, preposterous evasion. This whole subject of antinatalism, can't see the title, the antinatalism is about the fact that people make these decisions to procreate. It doesn't just fall out of them on them from the sky. Okay, it's a behavior we can control. We do have control over it now as human beings. So it's a volition. It's an act of volition. It's an act of aggression. It's no longer something that happens to us. We make it happen. Okay, and so and we can dissect the difference between people who do it because God says so. They do it because their culture won't let them do it any other way. They prohibit birth control. There's lots of reasons why people do these things, and they can be dissected and explained. It's not that complicated. And again, we can see this huge correlation between education and how old women are when they have their first child. Huge correlation. The more educated the girl, the later she starts having children, if she has them at all. Okay, and her numbers go from 5 to 2. I mean, it's a huge difference. It's documented in India.
Can be sure of any of our own motives, what we seek to accomplish by doing anything, let alone have children.
Well, again, like I said, none of this stuff, you all know this. Come on, they call bullshit on this. You know the thought patterns, the ideas, the placating that goes on. You know why you bring your mother-in-law chocolate. Okay, it's to placate her, to shut her the fuck up. We know why we do things. This is just such a pile of crap.
Are you so sure of yourself that you know your own motives?
Yeah, I'm damn sure of it. Yeah, damn sure. Okay, my motives really aren't that complicated. Okay, they really aren't. I love to rub my dick on things, and I like to hit golf balls, and I like walking in the woods. There we go. I'm pretty much summed up.
I'm not asking you that as anything other than a rhetorical question.
Well, there's no point in asking as a rhetorical question like it's some sort of unanswerable question, because I can answer it right to your goddamn face. Name a behavior of Gary's, name a mannerism of Gary's, name something of Gary's, and Gary will explain where the fuck it came from.
But really, do I know why I get out of bed in the morning? Do I really understand that in a thorough way? I doubt it.
You really do. You doubt it. So if you didn't have a job, you would get up at the same exact time and do exactly the same things and then just sit in the kitchen and say, well, I don't have a job, so I'll just sit here in the kitchen. You can't think. Your brain wouldn't come up with some kind of crap agenda. Oh, yeah, you got to fix the doorknob. Got to come out the grass. Got to pull some weeds. Got to do this. You couldn't come up with a list. I got a list of 1,000,000 things on my list. 1,000,000 things to do.
It seems to be that it's easier to do that than not do the opposite or not do something else. By not getting out of bed and going to work, I complicate my life to the point where it's easier to simply go to work.
It's not easier. You understand. You have an understanding, okay, that creates a principled notion in your head, a prime directive. The prime directive is don't fuck your life up. All right? I mean, that's not a complex prime directive. Most people have it, except for the fucking ignorant jackasses. So most people say, is this going to fuck my life up before they do it? And sometimes they don't do it on Saturday night when they go out drinking, but that's another bad habit, and we can explain that because there's a competing interests. There's competing interests sometimes. Sometimes you want to do more than one thing, and you try to do them all at once, and that can be a mistake.
Every day, whether or not I've got a hand in it, I'm a function of the world in which to which I was born. I'm a creation of that world. I might believe that time, space, and all that sort of thing doesn't exist, but just watch what happens when I try to live as though they don't. So...
Well, I didn't even understand that. Try to live as if time, space, all this stuff doesn't exist. No, there's no point in doing any of that stuff. The illusion is our sentience is an illusion. Our consciousness is an illusion. Yes, time, space, whatever. It doesn't matter if it's an illusion. As Einstein said, it's one hell of an illusion. You don't have to go any further than that. It's one hell of a fucking illusion. All right, so I think that conversation is over. The premise of all rational conversation I'm going to have on planet Earth is based on the idea that there is time, there is space, and there is sentience. Okay, and the sentience is goddamn valuable because it could be in these horrible states and these not horrible states, and that's goddamn important. This math is not that complicated. Life is not that complicated. We know where we came from. We came from a DNA molecule replicating. You don't want to deal with that simple fact. Do you believe in abiogenesis? Answer that direct question. Do you believe that in abiogenesis that it was a matter of chemistry combining that created a unique molecule, only happened one time in all recorded known history? Do you believe in that or don't you?
It's the old question. What's better, inaction or action? What's better, to go along with the world?
Well, there's no such thing as inaction as long as you're conscious, okay? Because you're going to have thoughts that are actions in a sense, okay? It's all movement in a sense. It's movement from the exterior world, sound waves, light beams, all this stuff, and it creates movement in me. And it does it through a programmed sequence, through a filter, okay, that gleans something called logic and sensibility out of the noise and the nonsense. That's what brains do. It's not that complicated. You want to make it complicated, but it's not.
Or to just sit down and refuse to accept the world. Well, I think that I attempted at one point to figure out some way to...
Rejecting isn't the same as not accepting, but, theoretically. I mean, the point is we've diagnosed it. We've looked at the world and we said it's stupid. It's just tic-tac-toe. It's a dumb game. All right? There's blood all over it. There's guts all over it. It's a silly, idiotic tic-tac-toe to the death. Why would anything play this? This is not a logical game. It's not a game for adult intelligences. This is something an idiot plays. It isn't something an intelligence plays with. That's the conclusion. It's not a rejection. It's not It's not accepting, it's just concluding. It's drawing a rational conclusion about the state and function of the device. The device is not functional, it's not safe, it's dangerous, it's messy, it's sloppy. It's a chainsaw you don't start because the chain's going to fly off and rip your eyes out.
Avoid accepting the world. But inevitably, the world will pull you back in one way or another, unless you're willing to just sit down and die.
Well, again, that says you. This is about anti-natalism, about a simple choice not having children. It's about not being subjected to this stupid, idiotic game over and over and over again. It's like it's not coming into existence and having to realize you've been birthed by idiots, you've been birthed by a retarded culture, you've been birthed by a bunch of idiotic totem pole notions of reality. Yeah, it's about not doing that over and over and over again. And the only way I can stop not doing that over and over and over again is I have to stop these stupid totem pole worshippers and humpers and tell them to grow a goddamn brain and figure out this is not a game you play with somebody else's welfare.
As far as having kids goes, that's another thing that may actually be easier to do than not to do for a lot of us, for everybody, or for most people, for that.
Oh, what a silly thing to say. Like I said, most people have realized it's a fucking brain fuck. It's a life fuck. Okay, there's lots of people who give you that example right here on YouTube. Okay, they got kids, and where are they? They're on YouTube because they don't find it stimulating enough to be wiping noses. So, this is a bogus argument. Again, I'm arguing that most people are migrating to the choice not to have sufficient children to maintain human existence. You're arguing that there's something wrong with that philosophy. Explain what's wrong with that. What's wrong with the 7 billion people insufficiently reproducing to sustain human population? Explain why their lifestyle is the wrong lifestyle and the 15% or the 10% are the right lifestyle.
Simply because it's easier to have kids than to not have kids, in the same way as that it's easier to play solitaire than not to play solitaire. Just sit there and do nothing and watch.
Well, yeah, whatever. Like if the solitaire cards were made out of sentient creatures, that equation would change quite a bit, wouldn't it? If every time you flipped one and it matched and they said ouch, that would matter, right? It would make a difference. Just like you don't consider the animals you eat to be of any value or to be any worthy of any consideration. But that's the game. That's what we're playing this game with. The pieces are alive. They're real. The function of the board is made out of living matter that's going to feel. All right? It's not a free fucking lunch. It's not playing goddamn solitaire. It has larger and bigger implications than that. I'm not a game of solitaire. I'm not a card. I'm not a table. I'm not something to entertain somebody. They do not have me for the purpose of their goddamn entertainment.
What happens? Dynamism and activity just seems to be built right into our condition as human beings.
Yeah, imposition, stinky, lousy, smelly farting on other people's faces. It seems to be built into our condition. I'd say it's behavior that needs correcting.
Why would an antinatalist attempt to do anything? Stop having kids. There's nothing else to do after.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't get here by nataling. You just don't get it. Natalists gave birth to me, fuckwit. I don't prevent my future tragedy by not having kids. That's not how I got here. An antinatalist didn't give birth to me. Okay? A natalist did. Shit. If I don't stop them, I'm going to keep being subjected to their nonsense.
I suppose one could, do that, but and in all honesty, that does.
Oh well, I mean, this is a little bit ridiculous. I mean, the Frankenstein metaphor has been made. It's been performed as a play by other people. Are you telling me you haven't heard the Frankenstein metaphor? And you're going to give me this lame, idiotic argument that somehow killing myself is a solution to the problem? That didn't stop my existence, did it? I mean, maybe somebody who killed themselves 50 years ago, if they didn't kill themselves, maybe they could have had a conversation with my fucking parents and got them to be a little bit smarter. Smart as they are now, because they do say quite explicitly and will say right to my face and honestly that yeah, if they had it to do over again with what they know now after watching one of their daughters die, yeah, they wouldn't have done it. Okay? They would have made a different decision and lived a different life. They did what everybody else was doing, just like you said, because it was easier. Okay? Not because it was smarter, not because it was wiser, not because it was more intelligent. Okay, and all they needed was somebody more intelligent than them to inform them that they really don't need to do this, that they can find other things to enhance and make their life rich, and that this is a delusion that this game is going to be fun, because it has horror written all over it. There's risk all over it.
It seemed to me to be a rational thing to do if you come to the conclusions of asymmetry and all this sort of thing. But
yeah. See again. So another slander. Okay. The only. Oh yeah. If you believe it's stupid to have children, you have to kill yourself. I mean, this is just absolute nonsense. It's rude, stinking, lousy rhetoric. Do you think Darwin Hamster needs to kill himself? He's a concert violinist. Do you think he needs to kill himself? The modern mystic is a guy living comfortably in France on his nice little beautiful gardened house and farm. He just had heart surgery to preserve his existence. He should kill himself because he thinks life is stupid? He should kill himself? Fuck you. You're rude. You are fucking rude.
That, again, that's another argument. If you're going to ask yourself, why would you have kids?
No, we're not asking ourselves. We're asking you fuckers. Why would you do it? Why are you doing? What kind of fucking logic or what kind of gears are turning in your wicked little brains to say to you that somehow this makes sense, that I'm going to put something else in jeopardy, that I'm going to go to Las Vegas with something else's welfare and gamble on the boards with it? Explain that shit for brains. This is disgusting. These arguments have already been made.
You're going to have to ask yourself the bigger picture. Why do anything at all?
Well, this is just stupid. We already know why we do things, okay? It's the nature of the beast. We have biological needs, okay, built in to just to stay alive, and we have an imperative built into the mechanism that makes us into gladiators. It's a gladiator war. Okay, passive people who sit back and die don't replicate in the past. I'm not the product of non-replicators. That doesn't mean that behavior is right. Just as it is, the behavior of a Tyrannosaurus isn't right, or the great white shark isn't right. It's not its fault, but the behavior is stupid.
Who can answer that for each of us except for us ourselves?
Well, again, that's just nonsense, too. There's no difference between ignorance and intelligence. There's no difference between vacant, silly notions of reality and knowledgeable and informed descriptions of reality. It's all the fucking same. Bullshit on that. That's just absolute nonsense.
In other words, I don't really think that that's a reasonable question to ask after all.
Yeah, whatever. Right. The most important thing in the world you can do, short of killing somebody, is imposing them, is forcing them into existence. It's a highly important activity. You don't think they should give it any judgment whatsoever. They're not obligated to meet any kind of standard of logic or sensibility, to have any kind of notion of purpose and productivity and efficiency. They aren't supposed to reflect on the possible harm and the possible danger. They're supposed to just recklessly do it because they have a blueprint. So if I have a blueprint of a nuclear power plant, I shouldn't care less how badly they've performed in the past. I shouldn't care less about how many people have been radiated and killed by it. I should just build it because I feel like it. This is just bullshit. This was a silly response. Silly. Waste of my time. Okay? This 3 minutes was
Thank you.
Useless mush. Thank you. Well, no thank you, really. This is not nearly good enough. Fail. Yeah. And I made it. Half hour, made it. I know. 3 minute video, half hour response. 4 minute video, really. Well, 3:43. So give me a little credit. Yeah, but anyway. Yeah, whatever. I'm rubber, you're glue. Your brain needs horseshoe. Glue and horseshoe rhyme. Interesting, since glue is made out of horses' hides. Anyway, enough of that. Till next time and such. So forth and whatnot. Alright, quick add-on. Yeah, Google sucks, okay? I'll at least say that much. I don't like doing YouTube videos. I don't want to do YouTube videos. Again, I'm only doing this because it's a direct response to his response. I'm not going to make a habit of it. Blah, blah, blah. YouTube sucks. YouTube sucks. Censorship sucks. The whole thing sucks. Fuck you. corporations, fuck you advertisers, fuck the whole fucking idiotic jackass mechanism. Fuck you for putting our free speech rights in the hands of these evil fucking corporations. Fuck the whole fucking evil stinking mechanism. So there, that's just my editorial comment and such. Fuck them. Go to vloggerdome.com.